Hello everyone, welcome to my channel or welcome back to my channel. First off, I want to say I'm so sorry for how long it has been since I have uploaded, recorded, done anything on YouTube or any social media stuff for that matter besides like TikTok. I have been slacking. I don't know what it is. I've just been kind of in a rut just with recording, making videos, but now I'm starting to finally get back into it. I feel like myself again, as in myself in 6th grade, creating videos and just having fun. In the meantime, since then, I have been on TikTok. So if you have not followed my TikTok, please go and follow. That is literally just Tori Crackers, or if you look up my name, Tori Diaz, it'll pop up. So that's what I've been doing. I'm so sorry. It's been a while, but now I am back to it. And I wanted my first video back to be something of what I have been thinking about a lot recently. I've had a lot of video ideas just of topics that I want to talk about that I've learned throughout the past year or so since I've graduated, because I graduated. I graduated May 2024, which was basically almost a year and a half. I think it was a year and a half ago already, because it is August 2025, and I just cannot believe that I am already I'm a real adult. Like, I finished my rookie year of adulting. I am a full-grown adult, but I still don't feel like it. Anyways, I have learned so much within that past year that I have so many things that I want to talk about. Sorry for the long intro still, but it's been a while since we've talked, and I just want to give some updates. I am going to be doing vlogs. I'm going to be doing sit-down videos. The one thing that I did realize within my last year of wanting to create is there are no rules. I can literally create whatever I want to create. If I have this idea that's completely different than the next, then I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to have fun, and all of y'all who want to follow along the journey with me will follow along. So that's something that I've been trying to learn, and not pressure into having like the perfect YouTube or have it look perfect or whatever, because I'm just trying to have fun, trying to be back to how I was when I was in middle school and just recording whatever I wanted to record. In today's video, sorry for the long intro, I just wanted to talk about something that I have been really realizing from the past year, and since I've just been home alone and just having time to myself and really just seeing who I am, is what it was like growing up Filipino in a mostly white area. I went to a PWI, so all of my friends were mostly white, mostly just like American. I think I could count on my hand how many non-white friends I had that I could relate on a cultural level to. Just didn't realize how much of a big deal that is until I got older, because when I was younger, my mom would tell me that my oldest cousin would always say that certain cultural groups would stick together more than intermix. And that's not even to say it in a bad way. You relate more to people, and I didn't realize this until post-grad. I related way more to people who were of color, who grew up in the same life that I did, being Filipino. I identified more with them way more than any of my like white friends, even though my white friends were like good friends and some of my best friends. Literally, my best friends are white, but on a cultural level, it was so hard to connect with them in a certain way because they didn't grow up the way that I did. And that's like parents being strict. I always had to sneak out everywhere. I always had to lie about where I was going so then I could fit in with my white friends, or having different foods than them and all that sort of stuff. So post-grad made me start to think what my life would have been like if I grew up with more like Filipino people, or people who looked like me, had same cultural backgrounds as me, which I'm not saying that I wish that happened, because I'm genuinely so happy with how I turned out or how I was raised and how I had to learn all these things on my own, because everything literally does happen for a reason. I feel like before I would have dwelled on why couldn't it be this way? Why couldn't I have this? But in actuality, everything happens for a reason. And if that didn't happen, then it wouldn't help me reflect on myself and all the things that I've learned. I don't know if that was an intro or not, but we're going to get into like the nitty gritty things, because I have like a list written down of things that I wanted to talk about. So it was, I think, AAPI month, and I had made a video on my Instagram about just being Filipino, and it was like a montage of me hanging out with my cousins, having cousin hangouts, because I feel like that's such a Filipino thing, or just even like foreign person thing. I'm not saying that white people's families aren't like that too, but that's how the majority of Filipino culture is. And I'm honestly just speaking on Filipino culture. Some of the things that are Filipino traits could be for other cultures, but I don't want to say specifically because I don't know exactly what. I hope you guys get where I'm getting at, but I'm not trying to offend anyone. I'm really purely just talking about my experience in being Filipino. I'll try my best to accommodate to other cultures as well. But anyways, just talked about how I grew up having a double life. life. So my life at home with my family, with my cousins was so different than my life with my friends, like my school friends, because they were all white. And I'm not saying it's just because they were all white, but culturally speaking, my family life and my home life was so different than those of my like American friends. I wouldn't even say white friends, American friends. I feel like through high school, I did a pretty good job of keeping my own identity of being Filipino because I loved being different. I know this can sound so pick me of me, but I loved being different and I loved having just some little thing be unique towards me. And I wouldn't want to say that I'm a pick me, but I genuinely just love having something unique to myself that just shows like my own personality. And I don't know, I feel I've always been like that since I was younger. Being younger to high school, I didn't really have an issue with being Filipino. I didn't have really a identity crisis because I was also younger and I was trying to figure myself out. I still knew that I was Filipino and I just couldn't come to terms with the fact that me being Filipino and my American friends having a different life, like how different it is. I would always wonder why I wouldn't have the same things as them. I mean, I guess I never really like wondered because I knew that I was Filipino, but it was just like really frustrating having to deal with that. I feel like a lot of American stereotypes or beauty standards was something that I really catered toward. I don't know how to describe it, but just like the things that were popular to society, which in my immediate society, it was mostly like American white people, like that's the standard. And that's what I wanted to be that because I knew I loved being Filipino and I loved being who I was, but cultural wise, I really basically only liked white boys. I dyed my hair with highlights. Like I wanted to have some sort of blonde. I knew I wanted to be dark, which even now I love being dark and embracing my darkness because I'm Filipino. That's my natural skin tone. And you know that the whole Filipino beauty standard of being lighter, like I was so against that. I love being tan, but that's also a toxic thing in the Philippines and Filipino culture is wanting to be lighter, which I digress on that. We can talk about that later. But just being accepted into that sort of culture, I don't know. I think I just like the look of white boys and white girl culture, which I don't even know how to describe it, but that's what I was more used to and that's what I was around, so that's kind of what I was like. I would say like whitewashed. My brothers would call me whitewashed. You see it all over TikTok about people being whitewashed, but it's honestly so hard to get away from that because that's what I was surrounded by. You are literally a product of your environment. If I was surrounded by different things, who knows, maybe I could have like been a little bit different, but that's just because I was surrounded by American culture, white people culture in the area that I grew up in. So that's kind of what I had adopted. I knew that in college, I still liked being different. I still loved being Filipino. But for some reason, midway through, I would say just like lost myself in general. I really catered towards the people around me. And this was the most that I'd ever done this in my life because in school of like kindergarten through senior year, I feel like I was still so fine with being myself. In college, I didn't realize how severe it was until I graduated because once I graduated, I was just by myself. I kind of really stepped away from like hanging out with friends that didn't really fulfill me or friends that I didn't feel accepted me as who I was. Really made me question myself, not even in a cultural way, but just like a personal level. Just I couldn't be my 100% self, whether that be showing my Filipino-ness or not. Just like my interests and what I like to talk about, my humor, it was very muted because I don't know, I just didn't like showing myself in that way because I felt really judged. Once post-grad happened and I kind of was just doing what I wanted to do, hanging out with the people that I knew fulfilled my cup and didn't make me feel self-conscious, really made me feel good about myself inside, that I realized I was like, also this could be just like a post-grad thing, but just realizing that your uniqueness is something that is so cool to you. I feel like the older you get, the more you realize like the more unique you are and just really embrace who you are and not conforming to society. That's literally what I feel like getting older teaches you, is you don't have to conform to society because as you're younger, you're developing years. I feel like you want to conform to society more because that's what society is. You're young, you're impressionable, you want to do what is around you, you want to be like the people around you. And then the older you get, the more you realize that you really just looking in yourself without any shame. Being an adult and finding happiness is you catering to your childhood self and you fulfilling all the things that your childhood self loved doing. Like literally me making YouTube videos. Now I'm making YouTube videos again because I'm fulfilling something that is like within me, wanting to be heard or like pushed out, rather than in middle school I stopped because I was was scared about what people were saying about me, but now I'm really like embracing it and just really letting my inner child out and do what she wants to do. And that's honestly made me just learn so many things. I feel like I sound crazy as fuck right now, but I'm literally just explaining my experience. I really hope you guys are understanding me right now. Like I was saying earlier, it really felt like I was living a double life growing up because I had to be this certain way in front of my friends and then be the certain way in front of my family, because Filipino culture is very, very, very different from just like American culture. Seeing my friends and their parents, their relationship with their families is so different than what Filipino culture is. Because like you have honorifics, you have to say ate, kuya, things like that, compared to just calling your older brother your brother's name. It's very different. Like being able to talk back to your parents, like that shit's crazy as fuck to me. Like what? I didn't realize how much that also made me a people pleaser because I had to conform to what was around me, that I'm still trying to like unlearn that. I just always wondered why I was so different from my friends. If I remember, I would be so embarrassed all the time that my parents were like food pushers. I was never really embarrassed of Filipino food because I loved like showing it off. But then when my friends would come to my Filipino parties and my aunts and uncles would just be like feeding them food or like pushing food onto them, I'd be like, oh, like this is... My parents were so strict that I wasn't allowed to sleep over anywhere. I always had to sneak out. I was only allowed to, I think, go out once a month. So I had to sneak out if I wanted to see any of my friends. My friends were real ones. Loved them so much because they literally would come sleep over at my house. Because I don't know if any other Filipino parents are like this, but I'm not allowed to sleep over at their house, but they're allowed to sleep over at our house. So what we would do is come over, walk out through this back door right here, and go to any place that we wanted to go to. I genuinely think it was a gift from God and a sign from God. God was literally looking out for me that I have never gotten caught and on like my behalf. My parents have never questioned. They've never gone down here or done anything. I feel like because they knew that I was so under lock that I honestly also just stopped asking them to do stuff so it would be less suspicious. So I would literally just go anyways because I knew that it was a no. That I never got caught. So I feel like that was literally just God looking out for me so that I can have a normal high school life and just fit in with the people around me. So like that was basically one of the biggest things also I feel like growing up Filipino is seeing your friends be able to sleep over places and then you can't, or they have all these plans and you're missing out on them because your parents aren't letting you go to it. Like I remember being distraught because I was like, Mom, all my friends are going to be so much closer to each other than to me because I'm not going to be able to hang out with them. I'm not going to be able to do all these things. They're going to make memories without me. And I'm going to be honest, like it did happen, but the older I got, the more I realized like I was saved from so many things because so many things did happen that weren't necessarily the best. And if I was there, I would have gotten way more in trouble with my parents. So like sometimes I'm like, thank God. No. It's like a give and take. Like I was saved from a lot of trouble, but then I also was like, I had FOMO. Like I had FOMO as fuck and I loved hanging out with my friends. It was literally a double life. Me during the day to nighttime was just like so different. But yeah, that was one of the things that I wanted to talk about. And also the stereotypical just being good at school, having perfect grades and all that stuff, and always being so forced to have that compared to my friends around me. Like I remember my friends would tell me, they're like, oh, I gotta be like, my mom's gonna be so happy. I was like, what the fuck? Like my mom would wring my neck. Now that I think about it, it's like it's fine to be pushing your kids to have them do the best that they can, because I know my mom would always say it's because we know you're capable of it. But then also it's like the amount of anxiety that gave me, oh my God, like I would have a way less stressful life if my parents were treating me like my white people's friends' parents, because that shit was stressing me the fuck out. Anyways, so with that being said, I wanted to kind of talk about what that effect had on me growing up. For me, portraying myself to society-wise, what is the word? What's the word? Like the view of myself was very tainted because growing up, I don't know what it is. I feel like this is also another cultural person thing is, I feel like also it's just because I grew up around these just white people, and this is what white people grew up with, is just always just viewing white girls as the standard and what you would want to end up with, because growing up, no one wanted to be with me. I don't want that to sound bad, but no one was literally attracted to me. I feel no one wanted to talk to me. Like, no one wanted the Asian girl. I was never the first pick. I don't want that to sound like pick me, but I was always under the white girls. Not many people, I think, were interested in me, and I always thought it was because I wasn't white. And then when I got to college, the opposite happened, where a lot of people were like, "Ooh, I love Asian girls," and I was just like, no, like, I wanted like a happy medium. I wanted people to like me for me, not because I, different and foreign. The amount of times that people would be like, oh, she's foreign, she's Filipino, she's Asian. There was one time me and my sister-in-law were in Virginia Beach, or we were going to the beach, and then these two older, like, Caucasian men were literally like, oh, it's like we're in Hawaii, like there's beautiful Hawaiian women. And then me and my sister-in-law were like, what the fuck, bro? Like, I get it, nice compliment, I know that they didn't mean any harm, but then it's just such a, I don't know, like, why you gotta point out our like race to us? Why you gotta say that? I don't know. I thought that was kind of weird. Which, getting the compliment, love, thank you for calling me beautiful, but also I was like, can I just be beautiful for like being beautiful, not because I am foreign? Like, I don't know. That kind of also forced me, forced me to only like white boys. And all of this, I'm not meaning for this to sound like weird at all. I'm truly just explaining my experience. I really only liked white boys maybe up until like end of college. What are the freaking odds that that happens after I'm done being surrounded by all only white people and having white people be the standard? I really started not caring about that when I graduated and I wasn't really surrounded by all that, because this is gonna sound weird. I don't want this to be like weird or like fetishizy or whatever, but my boyfriend is black, like it matters. But if you were to tell me that I was not dating a white boy when I was younger, I would have thought you were fucking lying to me, which, looking back on it now, so weird, so strange. Why was I? But then I think about it and I'm like, it's because that's what an ideal relationship looked like to me growing up. Because also, I just didn't want to date any Filipinos either, because they just reminded me of my cousins. I have a lot of boy cousins, so I don't know if I'll date any. Because for some reason, every Filipino or Asian person that I know somehow knows my siblings or my family. So I kind of, I've always been that way. Anyways, but the thing is, my boyfriend was telling me that too, is like, oh my God. My boyfriend was literally telling me that he went through the exact same thing, that it wasn't until he like matured and grew the fuck up, grew the fuck up, that he didn't like just white girls. And we were both talking about how it was because we grew up in the community that we grew up in, not many colored people. So it was kind of, it's difficult, I hope that doesn't sound bad, but that's literally what it is. That the thing that I realize now is I vibe so much more just like on an energetic cultural level with people who grew up the same as me or who has similar family dynamics as me, because past relationships, and I don't want this to sound bad because all the past relationships that I've been in have been fine, our family vibes and family cultural dynamics were so different each other that in the long run, I really don't think it would have worked because of how different that is. And family is such a big thing to me. I feel like also to a lot of Filipinos, is family is one of the biggest things in your life. And if your significant other can't fit that, then there's really doesn't seem like there could be a possibility of it working, which I genuinely feel like it's like kind of a blessing in disguise that some of my past relationships didn't work out because of that, in the nicest way possible. Because now, like, I'm really like trying to not sound weird, but I met like my boyfriend's family and I immediately just felt like at home, the least weird way possible. I don't know how to describe it. Like, my body energetically felt like it was resting, even though I was still nervous because I was meeting his parents and whatever, but it felt like I was meeting an extension of a family member. Like, it's really weird to describe. I really, leave comments down below if you know exactly what the fuck I'm talking about, but my body just really was able to rest, and I didn't feel like I was being judged, or I didn't feel like I was being looked at weirdly because I was doing things that it wasn't normal, So that kind of definitely just like, I don't know, it really opened my eyes to be like, the more that I've honored that aspect of myself in my relationships, whether that be romantic relationships or friendships, if you don't have that energetic ease with them and then you feel like you could be yourself, it won't like work out, you know? I don't know if that made sense. I low-key lost track of what I was saying midway through. But anyways, and also just like growing up, realizing that my cultural background is different than my friends, it made me kind of get embarrassed sometimes of like the things that my parents would do, which in the back of my mind, I knew it was because they're Filipino. Like I never really had an issue with it consciously, but subconsciously, I feel like it gave me anxiety thinking like, oh my God, people think I'm weird because this is what I do. When in actuality, when I would meet people who had different cultural backgrounds from me and weren't really American, I like appreciated their culture and what their parents did so much that why was I thinking that someone wasn't thinking in that way too? I don't know. Maybe it's just because I had an internal fear of like what like American white people were thinking of me, but whatever. This is like all over the place, but it really wasn't until post-grad where I kind of really accepted like this is who I am. I'm so glad that I kind of really did grow up in that way because I wouldn't have the special things about myself be there if it wasn't for that. It just made me realize I love being Filipino. I love having different things. I loved having different like clothing. I mean, I didn't really wear traditional Filipino clothes, but I loved just knowing that there was something so unique and special to us. Barongs and stuff like that. Filipino parties, Pacquiao parties. Always knowing that you could be comfortable with each other, just being yourself, being loud. Because I feel like that's also one thing that I realized in school. I would notice my loudness coming out because I am, Filipinos are loud as fuck, that I would just get so self-conscious of being loud that I didn't want to be loud, where now I'm like embracing it. I mean, obviously being respectful to whatever is around me, but just like enjoying who I am and accepting, because there will be times where I'll catch myself being like, oh my God, sorry, I'm being like so loud, when I'm like, no, I'm just being passionate. I'm not trying to be like rude or, too much. Stop taking it personally if I am being loud, if someone told me that I am being loud, but like, that's just who I am, okay? And it's not like a jab at me. Anyways, I don't know. I love being different. I don't know. It just made me realize I'm just meant to be different. I'm meant to do my own thing. And I feel like literally that's how the world is supposed to be. No one is supposed to be the same. I feel like I'm really starting to break out of that societal, you need to be the certain way in order to succeed in life, because I genuinely feel like more stuff on the internet now really promotes you to do and be yourself, because so many YouTubers that I watch and so many different things that I watch are so different from each other. And it's because they're truly being themselves and accepting the parts of themselves that are not controllable, rather than like trying to conform to society, because I feel like that's kind of what made me so depressed my senior year. I wouldn't even say I was depressed. I feel like I just had like a identity crisis because I was trying to conform to what was around me and just being like the people around me, that it really made me lose myself. And once I started really looking within and seeing what really filled my cup up and just what I loved, like I love Filipino food. I love hanging out with my cousins. I love like just always getting food with them. Just all these things that I thought were so like different and not a lot of people did, that from the people that I saw, and just like really just accepting that my life is my life and it does not have to be exactly like everyone's around me, and really just accepting I'm meant to be different. And although growing up it was a little difficult, I'm so glad that it did happen. I feel like I talked about everything that I wanted to talk about. I could do like a part 2. I honestly really like talking in this format, and I'm really also trying to get back to my stop having expectations or what something needs to be, because this is my channel and this is all that, whatever I want to record is what I'm going to record, and I need to just literally chill and like have fun. And I had fun, and I hope you guys did too. Please comment down below your thoughts on this. I also maybe didn't even talk about what I wanted to talk about, but I just needed to like rant on here and just talk about my experience with what I have learned throughout this past year and a half of being in solitude most of the time, really just being with people that make me feel good inside, and really focusing on myself and find myself. Let me know if you guys have any video recommendations or anything that you would like me to talk about later on in the future. I really like doing these sit down stuff, so I will probably be doing that in my next video while I edit some vlogs. Don't forget to follow my TikTok. I do stream on there sometimes. I have kind of been slacking with it, so don't get mad at me. But once I get back on that, I will update y'all. Let y'all know that I am back streaming, because I know some people have been missing it, but I've just, like I've said, been in a rut. Also, don't forget to follow my Instagram. I'm going to start posting my updates on there that I've recorded a new video on my Instagram so that you guys can be updated if you do follow my Instagram. I also just need to stop caring about what people think if I do post about it on my Instagram. So that's also something that I'm just trying to focus on and just, fix. And also don't forget to like, subscribe, comment down below anything that you would like to see in any upcoming videos. Let me know if you like this format or what videos you would like to see next, because I'm starting off on a clean slate, just recording what my body feels like it is feeling to record, because I'm not trying to force anything anymore, because it's honestly so energetically tiring and I'm not trying to do that anymore. I am meant to live in a life of rest while also get everything that I want, manifestation. I'm also planning on doing a manifestation video sometime soon, so be on the lookout for that as well. But yeah, anyways, this was a long video, but I really appreciate you staying here. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.